Welcome back to another episode of the GODSUccess Teach and Pray. Our leader of the week's topic today will be for all faithful women. Our Bible verse are Exodus 15:20 to 21 and 1 Samuel 1:2 through 21. In the book of Exodus, Moses and Aaron show us it is good to sing, dance, and lift God's name high. And in the book of Samuel, we learn of a man with two wives. Hannah was unsuccessful in giving them children, and they prayed to God, and after praying and following God's instructions, they were able to bear a child named Samuel. And that was per the Lord's request. And this is yours truly, MC and engineer, His Excellency Dakar, Director of GODSU Chaplaincy Program, and CEO of Dakar Marketing Tools, an international graphic and printing company providing you with all your marketing needs to help you and your company grow. Our popular products are GODSU African American Bibles, magazines, banners, flyers, branded golf shirts. Our world-renowned services include marketing, consulting, coaching, keynoting, promoting, public relations, and conference planning. Without any further ado, our Reverend Dr. Leo Pickett, Chaplain, please take us away.
Oh, sister, don't you repent tonight. Oh, sister, don't you repent tonight. Arrows on the ground. Oh, sister, don't you weep. Miriam, the Tabernacle Worship Center, located at Shiloh, one of the priests who serves there when the shift is on duty for him is named Elkanah. He is called an Ephraimite because he lives in one of the Levitical towns located in Ephraim's tribal territory, 1 Chronicles chapter 6. During one of his times of service, Elkanah's childless wife, Hannah, vows to dedicate her first child to the Lord if only God opens her womb. Now, Miriam is a prophetess and sister of Aaron. She took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her with timbrels and dancing. And she's saying, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, and is highly exalted. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea." We praise your name for Miriam, who sang triumphantly, while Pharaoh's vaunted army lay drowned beneath the sea. As Israel marched to freedom, her chains of bondage gone, so may we reach the kingdom your mighty arm has won. Oh, rest in the Lord, wait patiently for him, and he will give thee thy heart's desire. Oh, rest in the Lord, wait patiently on him, and he will give thee thy heart's desire. dark. Now, we're talking about Hannah, the mother of the Old Testament prophet Samuel. She was a woman of excellence. She prayed for years that the Lord would give her a son. She was heartsick because she couldn't get pregnant, but she did not let this ruin her relationship with her Lord. She kept her eyes focused on him and on what she believed he could do for her. In the ancient world where she lived, when a woman could not conceive, she was looked upon with contempt and scorn. She was considered worthless to her husband, her family, and her community. Because of her plight, Hannah could have become embittered toward God. There she was, serving and loving him as she should be. And one thing that would make her acceptable in the sight of others, he would not grant to her. Yet even though Hannah was discouraged about her inability to conceive, she kept her eyes focused on God and his righteousness. And she believed that God had a plan that was bigger than either her longings or her timetable. She recognized that God was able to do exceeding abundantly above all that she could ask or think, Ephesians 3:20. God strongly supports women who rest in him and are willing to wait on him to complete things in their lives. He is pleased when women believe that he knows what he is doing and are willing to submit themselves to his timing. If Hannah had been outside the will of God, she would not have experienced all the joy and blessing that God intended for her. If she had given birth to Samuel any earlier than at the intended time, it would have been a long time. God had a plan that exceeded Hannah's deepest desire. He was interested in what her son would do for the entire nation of Israel. Samuel means heard by God. To Hannah, praying childless before the throne of grace, you gave a son and called him to serve before your face. Grant us her perseverance, Lord. Teach us how to pray and trust in your deliverance when darkness hides our way. I'm Dr. Leo Pickett, chaplain and assistant dean of music for Global Oved Seminary University, and founder of LT Community Foundation, serving seniors through music therapy and health and nutrition. Co-host, take it away.
What do you do when God says no? We never get used to disappointment. Through her situation, Hannah teaches us what to do when our desire does not materialize. She shows us how to handle no or not yet from God. Through Hannah, though Hannah lived with life disappointment on a daily basis, she reemphasizes for us the value of prayer. Just because God has said no now, he may not mean no forever. Sometimes God has to put things in order before he can say yes. Perhaps there are people and situations he must work before our yes can come. And sometimes God's yes doesn't look like what we thought we wanted. But even then, honor must be given to the giver of all gifts. When God answers our prayers, we must remember to follow Hannah's model and offer our answered prayer back to God. We must honor God with the people and things he gives us. Question: have you committed to praying to God for all your needs and wants rather than asking everybody around you? Use Hannah as a model for handling your no and not yet moments. I'm Dr. Cecilia Smith, appointed by God to be the CEO of Strong Sisters of Strength Ministries Incorporated. I am also chaplain and assistant dean at Global Oved Seminary and University. Thank you.
So excited about both of these women. I certainly have pulled and extracted some amazing principles to have in my life, and I use it in my ministry as I'm ministering to women. Now, Miriam, oh, I love her story because as the oldest of 4, I can relate to Miriam because my mother worked many jobs growing up, and as the eldest child, she would tell me often when she was leaving for work, Vicki, I'm leaving you in charge. I know you are responsible and dependable, and I want you to look after your siblings. Growing up as a teen, that was very difficult because there are a lot of things I could not do as the oldest because I had to help do homework and cook and things like that. And it wasn't until in my 20s that I started to research amazing women in the Bible and came across this Miriam and realized that what God had given me is what he had given Miriam, and that was a life of responsibility and service. I started to rethink how troublesome it seemed as the oldest, and I couldn't go outside and play because I had to care for my siblings. And I started to see that meant God could trust me. He could trust me, and that he had put some skills in me to be able to take on such a big task as a little girl. And so Miriam was very confident and alert and attentive, and she made wise decisions regarding her brother. Those are some amazing qualities that I see in Miriam that I'm thankful that God put in me. And then there's Hannah. Oh, I love Hannah because she certainly was heartbroken, but what she does with that, she doesn't complain and she doesn't whine and she doesn't say, woe is me. She goes to God. And so Hannah was a woman of faith. She was humble. She was passionate, and she believed God. That's one of the biggest takeaways from Hannah's story. She believed God, and she did not look at or focus on what she didn't have. She knew how to go to the one, and yet she had to wait. But like Dr. Cecilia Smith said, she is a great example of what we need to do when our blessings have not come to fruition. She waited, but she never doubted and she never wavered. And that's what I love about this woman. She feared the Lord. And so take some time and research a little more about Miriam and Hannah, 2 women that I love and have found myself wanting to pattern some things after them. I am Reverend Dr. Vicki Stokes, and I'm Assistant Dean and Chaplain here at Global Oved Seminary and University. And I'm also the founder of Sister to Sister Gathering, a mentoring program, discipleship for women. Thank you.
America is in a waiting season, just like Hannah. We're waiting for deliverance from evil, just like Hannah. Hannah was teased and tormented year after year by the other wives of her husband, and God delivered her. God can also deliver us from whatever we're facing. So let's look at some of Hannah's techniques. Number 1, Hannah was humble. Number 2, in crisis, Hannah knew how to respond with grace or not at all. Number 3, Hannah was very passionate. She knew what she wanted, and she pursued it in prayer. And number 4, Hannah never gave up. And number 5, God answered Eli, the priest's prayers, and blessed Hannah with 5 children because she sacrificed and gave back her first child, her gift from God, back to God. Number 6, Hannah praised to God in prayer for the things that he had done. And Hannah's prayer is found in 1 Samuel 2. Please take a look at it when you have a moment. I am Minister Alicia Moses Armstrong, Chaplain of Global Oved Seminary and University, founder and CEO of Agape Love Treasures and Gifts. Thank you.
What 2 remarkable women of the Bible, Miriam and Hannah. When I think of Miriam, actually I think of my mom, much like Reverend Dr. Vicki Stokes. My mom is the oldest of 7, and she was actually the second mom as well, because my grandmother was an independent woman. She was married, was in an abusive marriage, and left in the 1950s. And so my mom became Miriam in charge, doing a lot of work as sort of the second mom. And in fact, some of the younger siblings used to refer to my mom as their mom because my grandmother was so busy working multiple jobs to take care of the family. And, it's interesting because, it's only as I get older as I really reflect on that and think about the responsibility of my mom. Even now, she's wise counsel for the family, and she keeps the family together. And I'm still amazed at how much they look toward her leadership. So thank you for sharing that, Reverend Dr. Vicki. Hannah beautifully said before. I guess I'll just read this to be brief, but we must remain righteous. This is what Hannah teaches us: is that we must remain righteous and trust in the faith that God will keep His promises. Hannah's loyalty was to the Lord, and she lived a meaningful life serving and worshiping the Lord, regardless of her great disappointments and her barrenness. She was gave willingness to the Lord, and remembered that everything that she had came from the Lord. And so, just as has been said so well before the co-host, that we have to wait upon the Lord, and we know that He is honest and true and keeps His promises. And so let's keep everyone uplifted during this very trying time. It is definitely testing our faith in the Lord. It's strengthening it for those that believe in the Lord. And I think even the doubters are turning toward the Lord at this time. Let's keep everyone uplifted. Let's make calls to people that we haven't seen in a while, just checking up on them. It's interesting as we talk about what, I recently interviewed someone this week who is writing a book on centurions. And she actually, interestingly, did the research to find out what love is all about. But the long story short is that with all the tons of research that's been done on centurions, people that are 100 years and older, it turns out that the most important factor is not genetic. It's not necessarily health. What it is the concept that someone loves you and you depend on. Is having that thought, having that notion that someone loves you and cares about you and you can depend on them is the greatest, believe it or not, the greatest reason why people live to the long ages. So with that being said, I am Dr. Eubanks. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Global Oved Seminary University and also the CEO of Global Alliance Technical Services, where we help get your financial house in order, as well as those that own small businesses to get those businesses in order as well for generations to come. We also teach IT. Thank you.
Hannah was always pregnant with the possibility of losing her barrenness. How many of us would keep that faith, would keep trying year after year after year? And in those days, it wasn't even like now, wherein you have career women, and it's okay if you decide that you don't want to go the route of husband and child. In those days, that was your career in many people's minds. And can you imagine her being ridiculed? Can you imagine people pointing at her? And especially when she says that she's waiting on God. They may be saying, where is your God? It's no different than now, right now, as we are going through this time of being shut in and waiting to see when we can leave and go back to everything that we think is normal. Being normal in that time was being married and having children. And people are looking at her and saying, you are so faithful. You follow your God. Where is your God? And I know that we see some people saying that, but just as Dr. Willis says, there are other people who are holding on and finding faith that they never had before, and having that kind of fortitude and pushing forward and saying, oh Lord God, get me through this time. And if you get me through this time, I will remain with you. I will be faithful. And as she walked in her barrenness, she never took her eye off God. How many of us have barrenness right now? Not barrenness in the womb, but barrenness in faith, barrenness in economics, barrenness in our health, barrenness in our wealth, in our minds, in our education, in the possibilities that we believe God wants to bring us through, but there's that barrenness. Whatever it is that's in us has not been birthed yet, and there are others looking at us and saying, where is your God? Well, our global workers of God and those who are listening in and who are supporters, I really want you to get into a period of gratitude while we are kind of on a pause. I want us to shore up, to build up, to increase, to elevate those parts that, because we were always ripping and running, we were not able to ensure that those things were done. Even before you had the baby, the mothers will tell you there is a nesting period wherein you're getting everything ready. Are you getting ready for the increase that God has for you? Are you nesting in the anointing that God has really been calling you to? Are you taking those courses? Many online courses you could be taking. Are you reading that book that's been sitting there on the shelf, but you always had a good excuse? I would say that we are expert excuse makers. We have a reason for not doing everything. I speak to people all day, every day, sometimes 12 hours a day. And you'd be surprised at the excuses people come up with for not walking in their purpose. So many of us are not pregnant in the womb or want to be pregnant in the womb, but we want to be pregnant in the possibilities in what God has called us to be, as to why we were born and why we're here on earth. This is that time. This is that time that you take those steps. This is that time that you, lean on God even more. This is a quiet time for many folks. Oh, I have to go here. There's some folks. Oh, I'm at this meeting. I can't talk. Oh, I'm going to this event. You don't have any events to go to now, do you? Mm-hmm. That's right. You have nowhere to go. Now is the time. Now is the time to get things done that you were too busy to do before, but God called you to get that done. Finish writing that book. Speaking to a gentleman last week, and if you hear what he had to say, he had about 3 books in him. Hadn't written one yet. Now is that time. And we're not going to use finances as an excuse. We here at GODSU, we put many experts in front of you to show you how you can get, interest-free loans. You can get free grants that you don't have to pay back. You can pick up funds that you never knew existed before. You can apply for government contracts that you have the capability, but you were too busy to do. Now is that time, my brothers and sisters, to get very introspective and then turn that into action. Now is the time to nest in preparation for losing that barrenness. Now is that time to take the action. We here are Global Oved Seminary and University and Global Bible Institute I am the Reverend Dr. Diane Moore-Eubanks, Chancellor in Jamaica of New Future Foundation, the Jamaica chapter, under the auspices of Queen Mother Dr. Dolores Blakely. Also, multi-state licensed financial advisor for Invita Financial Network, where we help you with your financial literacy as well as your retirement planning, showing you how for a few dollars a day you can build millionaires out of your children, grandchildren, and yourself. You just have to call us to find out how to do that. We are so excited that tomorrow, Thursday, is the final installment of our Christian chaplaincy. We are so pleased to let you know that we are rolling out the live classes for our love and spiritual interfaith chaplaincy. That's right. We're going to ensure that as you go through that chaplaincy, that you know how to approach people of every type of religion. So if you go into the churches, if you go into the hospitals, if you go into the mosque, if you go into wherever you're invited to speak, in the jails, in the corporate offices, that you are equipped and that you have a chapter to match wherever you are, and that you will be able to be effective. Being a chaplain is being able to be effective and help people wherever you are. And so there are many Christians who take the love and spiritual interfaith chaplaincy because they never know who is on the other side of the wall, who needs to hear what's being said and not be shut down because they're not labeled the same way you're labeled. So we roll that out May the 7th, the first Thursday in May, and we will go from there, after which we will do our live theology class. So we have a lot of things ready for you. So please remember that we are Global Oved Day Seminary University, GODSUccess, Teach and Pray, and we are your marketplace ministers. Have a blessed, wonderful day and wash those hands. God bless you. Bye-bye.